London has always been a city of contradictions. Wealth and poverty living side by side, opportunity and exclusion walking the same streets, and ambition clashing with despair. But nowhere are those contradictions starker than in the world of youth gang violence, where postcode wars, drill music, and the lure of the streets have created a deadly cocktail that keeps claiming lives. One of the most haunting cases in recent years is the story of Jermaine Goupall, a 15-year-old Croydon schoolboy who was murdered in 2017. His death was shocking not only for its brutality, but also because Jermaine wasn't a gang member. He was a boy caught in the crossfire of a war that wasn't his. To understand Jermaine's story, we need to unravel the layers of South London's postcode rivalries, the rise of drill music, the fragile lives of young people growing up in estates where poverty and violence are daily realities, and the ripple effects his death caused in Croydon and beyond. By 2017, London was already in the grip of a knife crime epidemic. The Metropolitan Police recorded over 37,000 knife-related offenses that year alone, a staggering figure that represented not just numbers, but human lives shattered. Much of this violence was concentrated in certain boroughs, with Croydon, Lambeth, Hackney, Southwark, and Tottenham often in the headlines. At the heart of this epidemic were postcode wars. Postcode wars are the battles fought between young people from different areas, sometimes rooted in long-standing rivalries, sometimes sparked by petty disputes, and often intensified by music and social media. These rivalries gave birth to a new kind of street politics, one where crossing the wrong road could make you a target, and where music videos doubled as declarations of war. In Croydon, two rival gangs dominated the streets: the CR7 crew from Thornton Heath and the CR0 crew from Croydon Town Centre. These weren't just loose groups of young men, they were tightly knit, territorial, and often ruthless. The postcode numbers themselves became badges of identity and weapons of intimidation. For teenagers growing up in Croydon, loyalty to your postcode could mean the difference between life and death. Jermaine wasn't a gang member, he wasn't a drill rapper, he wasn't known to police. He was a schoolboy, a teenager with his whole life ahead of him. He loved his family, spent time with his friends, and enjoyed video games like so many other boys his age. But in a postcode war, innocence doesn't always protect you. For Jermaine, being from the wrong area and hanging out with the wrong group of friends one summer night would seal his fate. On the 8th of August 2017, Jermaine Goupall was walking with friends in Thornton Heath, South London. It was a summer evening, the kind of night when teenagers linger outside long after dark. But for Jermaine, those last steps along Green Lane would be fatal. As the group passed a Costcutter shop, a car pulled up. Several masked figures jumped out, armed with knives and machetes. Among them were Adam Benzahi, 21, Samuel Oliver-Rowland, 18, and Junior Simpson, 17, all members or affiliates of Croydon's CR0 crew. With them was Saskia Hay Elliott, 18, who played a supporting role in the ambush. The attackers gave chase. Jermaine, just 15, tried to run but was cornered. In the chaos, a single stab wound pierced his femoral vein. The injury was catastrophic. By the time paramedics arrived, he was already gone. Another teenager taken in London's unrelenting knife crime epidemic. At the Old Bailey, the evidence painted a clear picture. This was no accident. CCTV and mobile phone analysis placed the defendants at the scene, their actions planned and fueled by Croydon's postcode rivalries. The verdicts brought some justice. Benzahi was jailed for life with a minimum of 22 years. Oliver-Rowland received 20 years, and Simpson was sentenced to 18 years. Hay Elliott, acquitted of murder but convicted of manslaughter, was given 12.5 years. A fifth defendant, Daniel Luke, was cleared of all charges. Detective Chief Inspector Tony Linus summed up the tragedy. This was a senseless murder stemming from gang rivalry and violence. We now have a family left utterly devastated and the lives of all involved blighted forever. Jermaine's death was not just a personal tragedy. It was a wound inflicted on the entire community. Families in Croydon began warning their children to stay home after dark. Parents lived in fear of their sons becoming the next victim. Trust between neighbors eroded as suspicions of gang links divided the community. Economically, areas blighted by gang violence often see house prices fall and businesses struggle. Employers hesitate to hire young people from problem postcodes, further trapping families in cycles of poverty. For Jermaine's family, there were also the costs of his funeral, the loss of his future earnings, and the permanent hole left in their lives. The violence didn't end when Jermaine died. His friends who witnessed his murder carried the scars of trauma. Some developed PTSD, struggling with flashbacks and nightmares. Others battled depression and anxiety, finding it hard to process what they had seen. Mental health professionals who work with victims of gang violence stress that the psychological scars can last a lifetime. Yet in many working-class communities, mental health support is woefully inadequate. Stigma also stops many young men from seeking help, as vulnerability is often seen as weakness in the macho culture of the streets. Not everyone who joins a gang stays in it forever. Some escape, though often only after prison or near-death experiences. Former gang members have spoken about how poverty, lack of opportunity, and the desire for respect drive young people into postcode wars. Community-led initiatives in Croydon, like youth mentoring schemes and sports programs, aim to provide alternatives. Former gang members are often at the forefront of these efforts, using their own experiences to warn the next generation. Education, too, is key. Schools that invest in pastoral care, mentorship, and extracurricular activities can help steer young people away from gangs. But without investment, many young people slip through the cracks. Jermaine's story is not just about the past. Knife crime in London remains a crisis today. Despite police crackdowns and media attention, teenagers are still dying on the streets. In 2021, London recorded the highest number of teenage homicides in modern history. 30 young people killed, most by knives. Many of those murders, like Jermaine's, were linked to postcode rivalries. Areas like Croydon, Peckham, Tottenham, and Hackney remain hotspots. Names like the Molly Boys, 67, Harlem Spartans, and Wood Green MOB continue to dominate headlines. And drill music, despite its cultural value, is still accused of glorifying violence and intensifying rivalries. The story of Jermaine Goupall is one of tragedy, injustice, and senseless violence. But it's also a story that forces us to look deeper, to see the human cost of postcode wars, the trauma left behind, and the need for change. Jermaine's murder is a reminder that the knife crime epidemic is not just about statistics, it's about children, families, communities, and unless something changes, the cycle will continue.